What if you just do one really big burp?
I don't know because I feel like the gas is like deep within me.
Oh, so
And
it's
it's gonna
got to
take.
take the secret tunnel.
Yeah, it's in the bonus stage right now. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
What's up with you?
What do you think? What did you just utter into my unbidden ear holes?
I- Welcome to Super Breakfast Friends Club, the sh- the show where we say things.
And then cut them out.
I might leave that one in. How are you doing today, Mel?
I exist. Here I am.
That's real good of you to say. Let's play the opening theme song for this week's show.
Hooray. It's these guys, our friends.
The Samurai Shodown show.
We've never met before.
I don't know them, but I liked their song.
I actually have met them. I've played some of their games.
Yeah, you mentioned that to me when I told you that it was the anniversary because it's I want to say, yeah, it's the 30th anniversary this year of Samurai
Whoa,
Shodown.
that's old as shit.
I don't know these guys. I've never met them. So you're more familiar with them than I am.
I am, but that's not saying much because I'm bad at fighting games, so I don't know the story because I didn't get that far.
How much do you know about them?
I know Galford because I played as him, and he is a ninja, and he can do the log trick where he teleports, and in some games you can play as his dog.
Oh, okay. So you knew so you knew about Galford. That's
I
neat
did.
because I didn't. And that was one thing where I was like didn't feel like it was very well explained in this show. So I'm glad that you already knew.
Yeah, cause I played him, but that's all I know.
Cuz this is a show that definitely expected us to know things.
Yeah, it really didn't throw us any bones at all, did it?
No, and I didn't know any of the things. So there were a lot of times when I had to stop and then do a little research into the games.
I mostly just know the names.
Okay. Well, first let's talk about the game, shall we?
Do it.
Samurai Shodown, which is called Samurai Spirits in Japan.
Whoa.
It's made by SNK, who I was surprised we haven't talked about until now.
At all?
No, we've never covered an SNK show.
Wild.
I know, it seems weird. But this was released for arcades in 1993. SNK are famous for their fighting games and for making the Neo Geo hardware. I think I know them more for the name Neo Geo than anything else. But they made the Art of Fighting games, the Fatal Fury games, the Metal Slug games, which are the only ones I've played, and the
Mhm.
King of Fighters games.
I don't think I played any of those. I think I tried to, but then forgot that I downloaded the ROM.
Yeah, anytime I wanted to play an arcade fighting game, I would always gravitate to Street Fighter.
A classic.
But I did play a bunch of Metal Slug because the animation in Metal Slug is incredible.
I don't think I've ever played it.
Do you know about Neo Geo arcade hardware?
Not really.
But you probably know the name, right?
Oh yeah, I've heard it whispered in the void.
Yeah, I was the same. I knew the name Neo Geo, but I didn't actually know what it was, so I looked it up. And Neo Geo arcade hardware allowed arcade owners to have 6 different games built into a single cabinet, all running on the same hardware. And I realized that they had one of those at my local swimming pool. And that's what I used to play Metal Slug on.
Oh.
But I remember, like, it was possible to switch to different games. And I was always like, but I just want to play Metal Slug.
Yeah, I think they have things like that at MagFest, and then I'm always mad because they don't have Mushihime-sama Futari on it, but it's there, it's just hidden.
I'm pretty sure the Neo Geo at the pool had Puzzle Bobble on it too. So I played that sometimes because I love those bubble dragons.
They're very cute.
Yeah. So Samurai Shodown was created by Yasushi Adachi, who also worked on a similar fighting game called Savage Rain, which I haven't heard of.
I don't think I have either.
But looking through his credits, what stood out the most to me is that he was a producer on Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, Kirby Squeak Squad, and Kirby Mass Attack. And he also got special thanks on Kirby Superstar Ultra and on
Ooh.
Fire Emblem Sacred Stones.
Fire Emblem, get that out of here. That's not a Kirby.
So he's got like some significant Nintendo involvement too, or at least HAL Labs and Intelligent Systems.
That's pretty cool.
He's currently the CEO of a company called Engines, which seem to mostly have made smartphone games recently. But they also run something called Kids Project, which, from what I could tell, is like a kids activity center that like uses video games to teach children and give them ways to play. It looked
That's
pretty
fun.
interesting.
Yeah.
The website was all in Japanese, so I couldn't understand too much of it, but the videos were cute.
Get the kids hooked young.
Yeah. So Samurai Shodown began development as an action beat 'em up game, like along the lines of Streets of Rage and Golden Axe.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just starring a whole bunch of different monsters.
A monster beat 'em up?
Yeah.
And we didn't get it?
No, the and the reason we didn't get it is so bizarre to me. Because apparently Adachi changed it to what it became after thinking about what would appeal more to a global audience. And he decided that a game focused on historical Japanese warriors would appeal more to a global audience than a beat 'em up game about monsters.
All right.
I do not follow this logic, personally.
Me neither, because this was 1993, before the real big Japan wave hit.
Yeah, back when we barely knew what a samurai was.
Right.
Apparently, the only survivor of the original concept was Genan. I want to say it's pronounced Genan. He's like a green goblin guy with scissor hand weapons.
Scissor hand weapons.
Yes, apparently because Adachi really loves Edward Scissorhands.
See, that tracks, considering the villain of the OVA we watched.
That's true. But this was like years before that guy showed up.
I'm sure it was, but the entire time I'm watching it, I'm like, who's this Edward Scissorhands guy?
Yeah, it didn't twig with me. Oh, what's funny is I don't think I'd actually worked on the game that this one's tied into. But anyway, the original game is focused, well, I guess the whole series is focused all around weapons. Apparently it was one of, if not the first fighting game to do this. It was a good 3 years before Soul Edge, the first game in the Soul Calibur series.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the game I think of. When I think of weapons-based fighting games, I think of Soul Calibur. But apparently this did it first.
I mean, it makes sense, but it would never have clicked in my head without you telling me that this is the weapons game.
I think, because with Soul Calibur, at least with the Soul Caliburs I've played, every character has like multiple weapons to unlock.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I think with this one, every character just has their one weapon.
Yeah.
But I'd actually wanted to recreate the stress of actually fighting someone with a weapon. So he made blade strikes deal considerably more damage than like any non-bladed strikes. And the studio asked him to change this because it was super unbalanced, but he
Right.
refused.
Why play as anyone else?
Yeah, I think when I was reading the interview with him about it, he mentioned that in the original game, Haomaru's sword strikes can take out like half your life bar in one hit,
Why
and
even
that makes it
bother?
really stressful. I know, yeah, just why would you use any other character?
I mean, I think her name is Mina, and she has a bow, and I always hated fighting her because she's always on the other side of the screen shooting me in the face.
Good. Yeah, he said that if he made a game like that today, he doesn't think he'd be allowed. He like because you don't make games like that anymore.
No, because
Someone would have
everyone would
stopped
play
him.
as Haomaru.
Yeah. SNK's US distributor at the time did not think that Samurai Spirits as a title explained the game well enough, so they changed it to Samurai Shodown.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, no, I agree with them on that. But I didn't know why they spelled because they spelled Showdown. The first W in Showdown is missing.
Yeah,
Do you know why that is?
I don't.
I didn't either. Apparently, it's so that it looks kind of like Shogun.
Samurai Shodown.
Yeah. This show, this
Down.
samurai show, oh, we both made the same joke in different ways. It's called Samurai Spirits 2 Asura Zanmaden. I'm not sure what Zanmaden means. Do you know?
No, I didn't think to look it up either.
Because Asura is the name of the Edward Scissorhands looking guy.
Oh, okay.
But I actually did try to look up what Zanmaden means, and I didn't come across anything. In fact, when you Google it,
Inconclusive.
all that comes up is this show and the game that it's based on. Because this show actually shares its title with what was the most recent Samurai Spirits game at the time.
Ah, the tie-in.
Yeah. Samurai Spirits 2 Asura Zanmaden was released in English as Samurai Shodown 64 Warrior's Rage.
64.
Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that must be an N64 game, right?
Not really, because I'm aware of the time period.
Well, it was 1998.
Oh, so it could have been, but
But
it
the fact that
wasn't.
I'm saying it like this suggests it wasn't, right?
The fact that when I was trying to find ROMs of this game, and it was very difficult, and I had to get like a Neo Geo emulator, tells me that it was not on the N64.
Yeah, it was actually released for the Hyper Neo Geo 64, which I didn't even know existed.
No.
But I guess it was Neo Geo's 64-bit arcade hardware. Oh, sorry, SNK's 64-bit hardware, whatever. The show was actually released just over a year after the game that it's titled after. Because the show was released exclusively on Laserdisc originally
Ooh.
on June 25th, 1999. They only made 2 episodes of this. So it's an OVA, but it's a Laserdisc OVA.
How fancy.
Yeah. And it serves as a prologue to the game's story. So they're not in Japanese, the two, I guess they did like a soft reboot. So the first Hyper Neo Geo 64 Samurai Spirits game is just called Samurai Spirits, the same as the original game was. For the English version, they retitled it Samurai Shodown 64. And then the one that this one's titled after, which is Samurai Spirits 2 Asura Zanmaden, was called Samurai Shodown 64 Warrior's Rage.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so I'm just going to call them Samurai Shodown 64 and Samurai Shodown 64 2, because that seems to be what fans have adopted as the names of them.
I won't stop you.
It's so much simpler that way. But this OVA bridges the story between those two games.
Gotcha.
So it's a prologue to Samurai Shodown 64 2. Whew.
Now that that's out of the way.
I had a hard time finding out who made it. There were some places claiming that Agiado made it. I mostly know Agiado as the people who made Kaiketsu Zorori. I freaking love Zorori.
What is it?
He's like a fox that's like a Zoro.
Oh, that's fun.
I've definitely shown you him way back when I was briefly obsessed with him in the mid-2000s.
You think I remember that nonsense? I can't remember what I did yesterday.
I'm going to send you this picture of him with his
I already Googled him.
With his two little warthog buddies who I loved.
Pretty cute.
Yeah, really good animation. Like, the animation quality on that show is what drew it to me because it looks fantastic. And I thought the animation on this was really good as well, especially during the fights.
Yeah, it was good to look at.
So if this was Agiado, then sweet. If it wasn't, then, you know, I hope I've at least turned some people onto Zorori.
If it was, that means they now share a cinematic universe.
Yeah. I could see Zorori showing up. You know how I love characters like that, where they're like not exactly good guys and they're like trickster gods, basically. That's what Zorori is.
Yeah, but do you want to watch him get cleft in twain by Haomaru's sword?
He wouldn't. He'd like trick them somehow.
You just think everyone is Bugs Bunny.
Zorori is kind of like a Bugs Bunny figure, yeah.
You have to let me cut one person in half, Mike.
Why is it gotta be someone I like, though?
Because you like everyone.
That's not true.
Name one.
Harry Potter. You can cut Harry Potter in twain.
That's boring.
Well, because he'll just stand there and cry while you do it. There's no sport in it.
Yeah.
Harry Potter's a weenie.
You're a weenie. Shut up and let me cut the fox in half.
You love foxes.
I know I do.
You don't want to cut this Japanese fox in half.
No, but looking at him just gives me Blue Eyes Toon Dragon vibes, and everybody knows that Maximilian Pegasus cheated with that thing. Just bending the rules by his bendy dragon body.
All right,
you need to watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Just watch Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay. Someday I'll watch Yu-Gi-Oh! But right now we gotta talk about Samurai Spirits 2, Asura Zanmaden. So, the show opens with a massacre.
Yeah, it was extremely violent right off the bat.
Yeah, we'd just come in, Genjiro has killed 15 people.
He's quite proud of that, but also bored.
Yeah. This is Genjiro Kibagami, who is played by Kon Kuwata, who is best known for playing Genjiro, apparently.
Cool.
He is also the voice of Geese Howard from the Fatal Fury series. And I think he's been playing both of those characters, like, from their original inception until present.
That's pretty cool.
Because Genjiro first showed up in the second ever Samurai Spirits game, apparently. He's Haomaru's rival.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But we don't see much of him in this, though.
No, he seems to die pretty quickly.
Yeah, but I think he's in the second episode, so I guess he doesn't die, but it sure looks like he does.
Yeah, but he's featured somewhat prominently in the opening credits, so I'm inclined to believe he survives.
And he's also in the game that this is a prologue to, so...
Maybe it's his ghost, we don't know.
That's true. Maybe they're going to go to hell and retrieve him. But he apparently he's been paid to kill all of these men.
We don't know why, and we don't need to know.
That seems to be, from the little I read about him on the wiki, that there's not too much documentation on the internet about these characters. The wiki isn't particularly helpful. But it seems like he is just a killer for hire, basically.
Yeah, that's the vibe he gives off.
Just a mercenary.
Yeah.
So he stands among his handiwork and takes a swig of wine from his gourd.
When who should appear but Edward Scissorhands?
Edward Scissorhands. also known as Asura, who was a new character introduced in the game that this one's named after. So this is basically his introduction. It seems like he's the main protagonist of the game as well, so...
Protagonist?
Yeah.
Weird.
I know, this show definitely sets him up as an antagonist, right?
Yeah, he's going around trying to kill everyone.
But I mean, in so much as a fighting game has a main protagonist, like when you load up Samurai Shodown 64 Warrior's Rage, the character select begins with Asura selected. So
weird.
Yeah.
And he's like insanely overpowered.
It sure seems to be. Yeah. He is played by Kazuya Ichijo, who is also the voice of Jun Hoon in the King of Fighters series, and is known for voicing Eroge.
Cool.
Yeah. Someone's
do what you
gotta
gotta do, man. Right. That's an honest living.
Yeah. For people who aren't familiar, Eroge is short for erotic game.
It's porn.
It's porn. So Genjiro wants to kill Asura for witnessing what he did. But Asura don't seem to care none.
No, he pulls out his +2 weapon of being everything.
Yes. So Asura's gimmick is that his weapon transforms into different weapons. And here we see he starts to fight using the Lucifer sword.
Oh, they have fancy names?
Each one of them has a name, and then he transforms it into the Beelzebub axe, which is what he wrecks up the scenery with.
Are they all named after various Satans?
Every single one of them, yes.
Good.
Genjiro is like throwing Hanafuda cards at him.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently in the game, Genjiro's whole moveset heavily references Hanafuda. Like a lot of his attacks are named after different Hanafuda plays, which is interesting. He seems to have like a heavy gambling theme.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a mercenary, what are you going to do with your money but gamble it and then need to go make more?
Yeah. Genjiro comes from above and tries to give Asura a slash, but his sword gets broken in half by the Mammon Shield.
The Mammon Shield!
The first time I ever heard the word mammon was Mammon Machine, so...
Yeah, me too! I feel like that was most people's introduction to the word mammon. Chrono Trigger.
Is it another devil name?
I believe so.
Mammon, wealth regarded as an evil influence or false object of worship and devotion. Others have forsaken Mammon in search of something on a more spiritual plane. You cannot serve both God and Mammon. So I guess it like means money, but it means money as an object of worship specifically.
Interesting.
Gregory of Nyssa also asserted that Mammon was another name for Beelzebub. Okay. Well, there you go then.
His weapon has the same name over and over again.
Yeah. I'm okay with it.
Me too.
You know how much I love naming themes.
Yeah, you're a real freak about that. I love when we get into a Terra raid and you send out a Pokemon with some well thought out name and I send out a Pokemon named Grunk.
I've got a pretty even spread of both kinds of names though.
But for like your trained ones...
Even for the trained ones, some of them are just like dumb. Like my slow bro's name is Speedy. So yeah, I've got some Pokemon where I'm like, yeah, this one, my Flygon is named after one of the world's largest deserts, and my Huntail is named after the Mariana Trench, and stuff like that. And then I've got like a Gliscor whose name is Fang.
That's like, the Sonic naming convention.
Sometimes I just and like my Quagsire's name is Paul after Paul Draws Art.
That's pretty dorky.
And my Clodsire is Paolo, also after Paul Draws Art, but Spanish.
That's extremely dorky.
Hey, Paul. I don't know if Paul knows that, actually. This could just be
Yeah,
new
did you just
information.
out yourself as a creepy stalker?
How is that stalking?
It's not, but it's... I don't know. I don't see you naming any of your Pokemon after me.
Oh, is that what this is? I'll name one after you if you want.
You're just gonna name it something like Fart Butt.
Well, not now.
That name's taken.
Not now that you've sullied it. Anyway, Genjiro accepts that he's lost the fight, and we see Asura bring his sword down. It definitely implies that Genjiro died right there.
I
But he
guess there
didn't.
were some shenanigans afoot.
There must be. Something else must happen.
He was performing for the camera. Then as soon as the camera crew scurried off into the forest, they cracked a deal.
Because this is where it cuts to the opening theme song.
Yeah.
We get to see all of the cast, mostly at rest. It was quite sweet, I thought. It's just like lots of scenes of them relaxing in their off time.
Yeah, because they're about to get ready to fight.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you don't really get to see fighting game characters at rest that often, I feel like.
That's true. That's not what we're primed to see them do.
Yeah. And it ends with Asura just kind of sprouting some big black wings.
Yeah, it was super edgy.
Yeah. He is a Sephiroth.
He's a Sephiroth. He is a Hot Topic goth from the 2000s.
He was ahead of the crunch on that one, because this was 1998.
Yeah.
I don't know what ahead of the crunch means, but...
I don't know. If you squint your ears, it makes sense.
Now the show begins for real, and Haomaru is asleep.
Yeah.
He's played by Daiki Nakamura, who was not the original voice of Haomaru. He took over from Samurai Shodown 64 onwards.
What happened to the first guy?
I don't know. I guess he just got replaced.
He got tired.
Maybe. I didn't look up who the first guy was since it's not relevant to this show. But before this show came out, he had already been the voice of Haomaru for 2 games, so...
I guess that makes it official.
He's also the voices of Billy Kane and Kim Kafwan in Fatal Fury. And he was the voice of Grey Wolf in the Monster Rancher anime. I gotta find that so we can cover it.
Just so we can hear him again.
He's also Inoichi in Naruto and Thunderman in Mega Man Battle Network. Haomaru is very, very clearly modeled after Miyamoto Musashi.
Yeah.
It was like so clear watching this that he's based on. And that's cool because I love Miyamoto Musashi.
I'm pretty sure one of the characters in one of the Samurai Shodown is Hattori Hanzo, so I don't think they're being sneaky about the references.
Yeah, it definitely didn't seem like I feel like any Japanese person would see this character and know who Miyamoto Musashi is. Mm-hmm. For anyone who doesn't know who Miyamoto Musashi was, it's a real historical samurai figure, and you should look him up because the stories about him are hilarious and wild.
Bonkers bananas.
Yeah, there's actually a really good Puppet History episode about Miyamoto Musashi's most famous.
Oh my god, it always comes back to Puppet History with you.
Have I ever mentioned Puppet History on the show before now?
Not on this show, but just yesterday or whenever we were last in a call, you were talking about Puppet History.
Well, it's great. I think I was specifically thinking about it because I had watched this show.
Planted the seed back in your head.
Yeah, it's a real good story, though. I believe it's the story about his fight with Kojiro. What's
the Blue Cuckoo?
Not the Blue Cuckoo. But it's the one where he, keeps showing up late to the fight and stuff, and then it's great. It's a really good story. It's really funny.
Well, I'm thinking about the Blue Cuckoo now.
You're always thinking about the Blue Cuckoo.
I love the Blue Cuckoo.
I know you do.
I don't know why.
It's just a trade item, right?
Yes. It's part of the the sword quest, and you get
Oh,
rid of it real quick, but I
the
love
big
him.
Goron sword.
Yeah,
That's right. You have to take it to the guy out in the woods, right?
and wake him up.
Yeah. But then he turns into a Stalfos before you come back with his saw or whatever.
That's right. Oh, you don't wake him up. He wants to raise him or something. I forget. It's been a while since I played Ocarina of Time.
I think it was his. Because I played Ocarina of Time just recently for my stream marathon. For anyone who doesn't know, I stream, and every summer I marathon a set of themed games. And last summer I marathoned the Legend of Zelda series, and it ended up being longer than I thought it was going to be. So it's now November, and I'm still doing my summer marathon. I'm like 1/10 of the way through Skyward Sword right now, as of this recording. And I've still got Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom to go. But yeah, I'm going to still be doing this marathon in January at least.
At least, are you kidding me? If you're playing Breath of the Wild, are you ever going to be done?
Oh, Breath of the Wild's not that long.
You're not going to dick around in the forest for 200 hours?
No, I'm not going to like do all the stuff. I'm just going to
Fine.
do the main quest. If you do the main quest things, I feel like you could beat that game in like an afternoon.
That doesn't sound fun.
The real problem is Skyward Sword because that game wastes your time so much. It took 2 hours to beat the tutorial.
That's obscene.
Yeah, that whole game's obscene. Anyway, this is where Rimururu enters.
Yeah, she's real mad about it.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of her name.
Why?
It's hard to say. Rimururu.
Are you Digimon calling?
My Digimon are calling, if that's what you're asking.
How unprofessional. This is an extremely professional podcast.
I put them to sleep, alright? I put them to sleep. Is that okay with you, Mom?
No. Now they're just gonna die in their own poop again.
No, I cleaned up their poop and then I put them to sleep. Yeah, so Rimururu is mad at Haomaru for spending all his time eating and sleeping while being a guest in her house.
How long has he been there? Like 10 days?
Yeah, I think that's what she said, yeah. Like 10 or 15.
It's not an insignificant amount of time to be sitting in someone else's house freeloading,
Yeah, eating their food and sleeping.
drinking all their wine.
Not doing anything to help.
Yeah.
So Rimururu is played by Keiko Kamitani, who doesn't seem to have done much outside of playing Rimururu, and she only played her for a couple of games. But apparently she used to be one of the hosts of Neo Chupi, which was an SNK radio show that ran from 1997 to 2000.
Radio show.
Yeah, they had a radio show. I think it was weekly.
I'm fascinated, but I'm gonna guess it's in Japanese, and therefore
Yes.
useless for me to acquire.
Yep. And also it's like 20 years old, so who knows
Somebody
if there's
out there
even
has
recordings
it.
of it. Yeah, of course.
Somebody has it.
But so this show was basically released right in the middle of that show's lifespan. She probably only played Rimururu during the airing of that show, I would guess.
Mm-hmm.
But Rimururu steps on Haomaru's face.
Yeah, he's just laying there. His face is asking to be stepped on.
It's a full, like, she lifts her other foot off the ground.
Oh yeah, and
just-
like puts her weight into it.
Yeah. And, you know, that makes him mad.
I can't imagine why.
So he threatens to fight her and he chases her around until she slips and falls on her face. And then things get weird.
A little bit. The implication was not pleasant.
No, and it's drawn out for a while. Why can't we watch one OVA that doesn't contain any allusions to sexual assault?
Because it's the 90s. That's what they did.
But yeah, he heavily implies that he's going to take advantage of her. So she starts crying and she summons Konru, the ice spirit, which is that's her whole thing in the game, is that she summons Konru to do stuff for her.
To make people a little bit chilly.
Yeah, and like make spikes of ice burst from the ground and such.
Which would in turn make someone a little bit chilly.
It would. A little bit dead and a little bit chilly. So Haomaru gets chased into the forest by Konru, and I'm just going to call her Rimu from now on because Rimururu is hard to say every time.
Fine, coward.
But Rimu wonders where her sister is and notices that her sword is missing. And elsewhere, there's a hawk flying around.
And also, Nakoruru.
Yeah, and the hawk is Mamahara, which is one of Nakoruru's animal partners in the game.
Who are the others?
She has a wolf, but I didn't write down its name because it doesn't appear in this. But Mamahara is the more common one. I think there's like some other. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but it sounded like you choose different stances for Nakoruru, and one of them has the wolf as a partner, and the other one has Mamahara as a partner.
Ah, okay.
That was the impression I got. Sorry if I'm wrong, Samurai Shodown fans. Let me know, because I don't know. I haven't played it.
I wish my internet would work because I'm trying to look something up.
Is it the wolf?
It is, but specifically, there's another Samurai Shodown character named Reda, and she has a wolf, and it looks like she is actually based on an alternate palette of Nakoruru.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go then. So Nakoruru is played by Harumi Ikoma, who played King in Art of Fighting and Blue Mary in Fatal Fury. I'm seeing a running trend here
Yeah.
that like most of these actors are really just known for playing characters in SNK games.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with it, but it's funny. Apparently, the developers were surprised that Nakoruru became kind of the fan favorite character because she isn't sexualized,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't expect a non-sexualized female character to become so popular.
That's sad.
It is sad, but yeah, Nakoruru is basically like the fan favorite Samurai Shodown.
Shadow
character.
Showdown.
Yeah, that's the game where it's like this, except it's Shadow the Hedgehog's in it. What, you haven't played it?
No.
Did the internet work?
Yes.
What happened?
No, I'm just. It sounds like Neda is like an alternate personality of Nakoruru.
Okay. So Nakoruru talks about how there's still snow in the Southern Valley, so she's putting off the spring festival. Like this whole area she's in, I guess, is like the aftermath of the winter.
I guess it's still fairly snowy.
Yeah, but there's lots of like puddles, lots of like dead looking collapsed trees, but there's flowers starting to grow there. It was really interesting scenery.
It is, but we're just kind of thrown into the story at this point, and I was very confused.
We are not really told like why this place looks like this, why all the trees are knocked down or anything.
What this spring festival is.
Yeah.
Who any of these people are, why she cares about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the only people that would watch this would be people that know Samurai Shodown, but still.
And that's a big part of why this was never dubbed, apparently, because there was never any English release of this, which is why we're not talking about English voice actors. And apparently, it sounds like various dubbing companies looked at it and they were kind of like, well, nobody would buy this if they don't already know Samurai Shodown, and Samurai Shodown isn't popular enough to justify it. So
right, makes
so nobody
sense.
ever translated it. I think if either Samurai Shodown was more popular or this anime did more to explain who the characters are, then it probably would have got translated.
Yeah.
But since it does neither of those things, it was kind of left on the shelf, which is a shame.
It is, but I can't say I blame them.
No, not at all. Also, you see, they're talking about how they were surprised that Nakoruru was so popular when she isn't sexualized. They tried really hard to sexualize her in this.
They were just furious that she wasn't sexualized.
Because she tries to have a race with Mamahara, and I guess she slips on a log and she falls down on her butt. And when she stands up, the wedgie is so extreme. Like, she's wearing layers, but they have made sure that we can see that butt crack through all those layers.
Yeah, it got wet and sucked up into her butt.
Yeah, there was some serious suction.
What, you telling me that that's never happened to you, where you fall over and your butt just tries to eat your underwear?
Yeah, I have to physically pull my clothes out of my butthole.
The suction is so strong.
Yeah, it was a bit of an intense moment.
An intense wedgie.
It was an intense wedgie. I've never seen a wedgie that intense. And like she's wearing such loose clothing for it to get like that wedged up in there. They just really wanted us to see that butt.
Yeah.
And it's not the only time in the episode that something like that happens either. But this is where Shiki shows up and collapses.
Yeah, just kind of wanders out of the lake or whatever it is.
Yeah. I had no idea what was happening. And she doesn't appear again for so long.
They talk about her and some sordid history, but we don't know what her problem is.
Yeah, so Shiki is played by Kaori Minami, who also played Vanessa in King of Fighters.
Ooh.
She is a newer character who had been introduced in Samurai Shodown 64, the first Samurai Shodown 64. So she was introduced in the game before this one and is a big part of the plot that this one is a prequel to.
Yes.
I guess.
I would hope so, with how much focus is put on her.
Yeah, she's clearly very important. And she was, I guess, kind of the central character in the previous game. Like, she wasn't the protagonist, but a lot of the story revolved around what she was doing. But we go back to Haomaru here, which I'm glad about, because I really like Haomaru.
He's pretty cool.
I think he's great. This show made me a fan of him.
This show being the first time you've ever seen him?
Yes. I think the reason that he stood out to me as really good is that he's the only character in this where I feel like I know his entire deal.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With everybody else, I had to look them up. Every other character who appears in this, I had to look them up to understand what was going on with them. But with Haomaru, I'm just like, yeah, I get this guy. I understand. I didn't feel like I was missing anything in his lore.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
He's just a simple guy.
Yeah. He has a sword and he fights.
Yeah. And he's here standing in a river, fishing with his sword.
Yeah, and he cleaves the river in twain.
Yeah. He just creates a shockwave across the river and all the fish get thrown onto the shore, ready for his dinner.
But then Poppy eats him.
So you already knew who Poppy was, huh?
I sure did.
Because the subs we had gave her the wrong name, I noticed.
Yeah, they called her Hoppy.
And it made me hard to find out who she was on the wiki, because I was working from the wrong name.
Yeah, the subs were a little suspect.
Yeah, but I did find out that it was Poppy. Poppy the Husky.
Yeah, Gelford's puppy.
So was Galford your main when you played it then? Because of Poppy?
Was. I don't know if it was probably because of Poppy. Who am I kidding? Just like going through the character screen like, whoa, this one has a dog?
Poppy just kind of shows up out of nowhere.
She's a ninja too.
I know, but it was... So something I thought was very cute is that apparently Galford and Poppy have just arrived, but Haomaru doesn't react with any surprise that Poppy is here. He's just like, Poppy! Stop eating my fish!
Not you again!
And I liked that. I thought it was cute.
Yeah.
And also, like, the fact that he's just immediately addressing someone else's dog by name. It just endeared me even more to Haomaru, I think.
It tells you that there's a history there.
Yeah, there was no whose dog is this, or why is this dog here, or why is Poppy here. he was just immediately addressing Poppy with familiarity, and I thought it was nice.
I love it when people talk to dogs.
Me too. So he lets us know that the reason he's here fishing in the river is because he's worried that the girls will not feed him anymore.
I mean, he's been a layabout for a million years.
Yeah, and then he decided to cross the threshold into a lecherous layabout. So I feel like it was clear the whole time that his perverted threat was an empty one.
Yeah.
Like, to me, there was never any suggestion that he was actually going to do anything.
There was no intent.
No. And he didn't make a step towards doing anything either. He just suggested that he could if he wanted to.
He just got out his grabby hands and squeezed.
He didn't even do that much.
I mean, the air.
Well, yeah. Okay.
It did sound like I meant something worse.
It did. And then that would have sounded like I was minimizing what he did.
I've already told you that I'm struggling to language today.
Okay. He did not touch her. He did not.
Oh, hi, Mark.
But anyway, Galford is here now.
There he is. It's the guy.
He's got one of the fish on a stick. Galford D. Weller is his full name, and he's played by Mantaro Koichi.
Mantaro. What a great name.
This guy had the most listings on his IMDb, but he is also the voice of other SNK characters, including Robert Garcia in Art of Fighting. My favorite thing in the list is that he played the town hall moderator in the original Japanese version of The Ring.
What?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Galford apparently was created specifically to be popular with female players.
It's because he has a dog.
Yeah, it was because he's an attractive blonde man with a dog.
Oh, I know what they thought they were doing, but it's just because he has a dog.
Yeah, it worked. It worked on you.
It sure did. And then I found out you could play as just the dog, and bye-bye Galford.
He's the only character in this show who isn't Japanese, in case you couldn't tell from his name and his blondness.
And the fact that he kept saying you?
Yes. I was confused by that because I was paying more attention to the subtitles than the sound.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that he was like literally saying the word you. And I was like, why is this in quotes all the time?
Yeah, I don't know how they could have handled it better, but it was confusing to read.
That's a very hard thing to translate. If they had dubbed it, there's no way they could have done it.
No.
Would have just been untranslatable. But he apparently, I looked up the character's history, and apparently he's from San Francisco, which at the time this is set would have been part of New Spain, which I didn't know.
Huh.
I had no idea that there was ever a New Spain. I don't know anything about American history.
Neither do I.
So Amaru cooks some fish for him, and he finds out that Galford has been observing him for a while.
We don't know how long, but a while.
Yeah, he's a ninja. He's the San Franciscan ninja.
Beverly Hills Ninja.
Oh, how come that didn't get made?
I don't know, but it would have been great.
Wait, what if it did and we've just never heard of it?
There is something. Is it Beverly Hills Ninja? It's...
Oh my god. All right, I take it back. Beverly Hills Ninja was released in 1997.
Okay, that's what I thought, because I've watched that movie, like, within the last year.
Oh, well, there you go, then.
I thought you were talking about a crossover between the Chris Farley movie and Galford.
No, I didn't know it was real. The tagline is Kung Fool.
It's very much a slapstick Chris Farley comedy.
Yeah, of course it is. What else could it be?
I don't know.
Good.
I didn't have a good comeback for that. Shut up. You're not my real dad.
From the same director as Problem Child.
That's you.
You're the problem child.
No.
We're both problem children and you know it.
But who's the problemiest?
Probably you.
Problemly?
I don't know. Oh, you did it. I don't know, because you finished school, right?
I did.
So maybe I was a bigger problem child.
I guess that depends on how you measure your problems.
That's true. Well, I feel like when you say problem child, the implication is that you are a problem for other people rather than that you have problems.
Yeah.
And I feel like between the two of us, I was probably more of a problem to other people, but you probably had more problems.
Fair.
I mean, I had my share of problems too, but I tended to make them other people's problems. Mostly teachers.
That's what they signed up for.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, where are we?
Feudal Japan.
So Galford says that Yuga is coming after Haomaru.
Who or what is Yuga?
Yeah, did you look anything up about it?
I didn't. I come to this show with only the knowledge I have strapped to my back.
Yeah, I had no idea what they were talking about here either, so I looked it up for both of us. And Yuga was the main villain of Samurai Shodown 64, and he returns in the sequel.
Oh. They did a bad job killing him.
Yeah, so they talk here about Yuga using Shiki to get to Haomaru. So here's some more stuff that I dug up about the plot. In Samurai Shodown 64, Shiki was introduced as a servant of Yuga. She was apparently groomed from birth to serve it, because Yuga is an it.
Okay.
And she was brainwashed and enslaved as an adult. And then she was sent out to find the perfect man to be used as a vessel for Yuga's resurrection. And she chose Haomaru.
Of course.
As that vessel. But Haomaru destroyed Yuga's physical form and freed Shiki from its control.
But then she comes back half brainwashed.
Yeah, she comes back with some serious problems. Galford is trying to tell Haomaru that he needs to kill Shiki because Shiki's going to continue to be a problem, and says that if Haomaru won't do it, he'll do it instead. And he wants to know why Haomaru is involving Nakoruru. So I guess Haomaru knows that Yuga's coming back.
It's not super clear.
Haomaru's motives and intentions are never particularly clear.
I feel like that's part of his charm.
Yeah, exactly. I love characters like that. Where you never quite know what they're doing. Exactly. Adds an air of mystery to him. Makes it way more interesting to watch him when you never quite know what they're going to do. So Galford also says that he has one other option for stopping Yuga, and that's to kill Haomaru himself.
What if they just find a different body to put Yuga in?
I feel like that's what they would do.
Yeah, not just our one shot is dead. I guess we're done.
Yeah. But anyway, back at Nakoruru's place, she's lit a fire to warm up Shiki. Where is her sister at this point?
I wasn't even entirely sure if they were back at her house or if it was just a hut out in the wilderness.
I assumed it was back at her house, but her sister just never appears again for the rest of this.
Her sister wasn't there, and it was dingy and weird.
I just assumed that was because the sun had gone down.
I guess, but there was no warmth. Nobody lives there.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it's not stated that they're back home. I just assumed.
There is an outdoor shot. If we were keen-eyed, we could probably figure out if it's the same place, but that sounds like a lot of work.
I don't think we could. Anyway, she's asking Shiki a lot of questions, and Shiki's just blanking her. And then we get a flashback to what I guess are the events of the previous game.
That was my guess.
Yeah, Nakoruru is talking Haomaru out of killing Shiki. I'm willing to bet that this doesn't actually happen in the game, because
Mm.
it's a fighting game and they don't tend to have any cutscenes.
Not unless it's Skullgirls.
No, but Skullgirls is a lot more modern.
Why? Just because there's 20 years between them? Come on, Mike.
Yeah, just because of that. And I didn't watch the game that this would be set during, but I did watch a playthrough of the game that this one is a prologue to. And like there wasn't even an opening cutscene, there was just an ending for each character from what I saw, so
One of those endings could have been this,
that's true.
but I'm willing to bet it wasn't.
It could have been, but I would bet it's not. But anyway, yeah, Nakoruru apparently is the one who talked Haomaru out of killing Shiki in the first place. He was all in on killing her at some point,
Yeah.
but Nakoruru is the one who convinced him not to. And now he's committed to that.
She hasn't given us much reason to be committed to that yet, but good for him, I guess.
Yeah, I think he's just hard-headed. And I think it's hard to change his mind, and then when you do, it's hard to change it back.
Yeah, that sounds accurate.
But as she's trying to get answers from Shiki, Shiki senses Asura approaching through the darkness, and she shudders with fear. Oh yeah, Galford Galford tells Haomaru that Genjuro was defeated, and Haomaru just thinks it's really funny. Yeah, I guess he doesn't like the guy, but
Yeah, he's a bit of a dingus.
but they don't say he was killed. They just say he was defeated.
That's true.
So
It's just us who have assumed that he's dead.
it's still left ambiguous here. The wording of it I thought was still ambiguous, but I'm assuming he's fine.
Yeah, they wouldn't give us all of this build up just for him to be dead the whole time.
No, he wouldn't be in the opening if his only contribution was to die before it.
Or would he?
Maybe he would.
They're trying to get all those Genjiro stands to watch.
When Asura shows up, he says, "Shiki, I miss you." And I don't know why.
Yeah, I was assuming that he had something to do with Yuga, but I guess not.
He does, but it's confusing. I did find stuff about him, but I didn't really understand what I was reading.
That sounds like a fighting game, yeah.
So, from my understanding of everything I read, Yuga lives in the Netherworld, and one day Asura just kind of showed up there and started causing a bunch of destruction until Yuga trapped him in some kind of like Netherworld prison.
I mean, it sounds like he needed a timeout.
Yeah, it does. But when Haomaru defeated Yuga, it weakened the barrier enough that Asura was able to break free. And I think Asura is trying to kill Shiki because he's trying to get to Yuga and kill Yuga.
Okay.
So Asura and Haomaru are aligned in their task, I guess. They both want to kill Yuga. But the conflict is in the way that they're going about it.
Right, the means to get there.
Yeah, exactly. So, actually, Asura is on Galford's side, I guess.
That was rude.
Did you hear that?
I sure did.
It was pretty rude.
Did you tell them to pipe down? We're recording a very important television show.
Yeah, also, it's 20 minutes to 2 a.m.
You say that like people care.
Yeah,
I
I
have
know.
woken up to Pokemon Sleep recording the loudest cars at all hours of the night.
I know. Well, anyway.
Now that that's out of the way.
So Nakoruru, I guess, tries to fight Asura while Shiki tries to escape. And she does some game stuff here. She's like trying to use her cloak to reflect his arrows, because that's something she can do in the game.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. But the fight abruptly ends when he uses his Leviathan scythe to chop down some trees. From the list of his weapons, we see all but one of them, because we don't see the bow, but he does fire some arrows. He just doesn't use the bow.
Weird.
It is weird. Nakoruru is refusing to give up, so Asura summons his Satana staff to bind her.
Yeah, that was cheating. That was a cheating move.
It was, and this is where, again, you can tell where the animators were like, well, we gotta show her body even through the clothes.
We have to cleave her breasts in twain.
Yeah, because as she's bound by the chains of the Satana staff, one of them very specifically lifts and separates her breasts.
It felt very shibari.
A tornado shows up and hits Asura, but it doesn't do anything. And that's one of Haomaru's moves. Tornado stuff.
Yeah, because then Haomaru is there.
Yeah, he tells Nakoruru to go after Shiki while he takes care of Asura. Meanwhile, Shiki's having some flashbacks of the Netherworld, I guess.
Yeah, it got real dark and weird.
Yeah, I didn't understand it.
Me neither.
But Asura and Haomaru fight for a little bit, and Galford finds Shiki passed out and gets ready to do some killing. But Nakoruru shows up just in time to stop him, and they argue about whether he should kill her or not. And this is where our last character of the episode shows up.
Out of the wild blue yonder.
This is Purple Nakoruru.
That's her name?
That's her name.
Okay.
Although she isn't wearing purple in this show, she's wearing blue. She's here taunting regular Nakoruru for being too naive. I am so confused.
Is that... No, I'm confused too.
So in the game, I did a bunch of research. In the game, Purple Nakoruru started out as Nakoruru's Player 2 palette swap.
Mm-hmm.
And then she went on to become a separate character who's basically the mean version of Nakoruru. But she mostly seems to be considered a non-canon bonus, like joke character, because there's no explanation for why there are two Nakorurus.
Yeah, and she's different from Reira too. So there's just 3 of this woman.
So it's wild that they decided to include this character in this anime.
Yeah.
This canonizes her. So what's the explanation? And they aren't presenting her as though she's a different character either. Everywhere I could find a listing for the voice actor, it just calls her Purple Nakoruru, and she is played by the same voice actor as regular Nakoruru.
I don't know.
No, it's pretty wild. I don't know why they did it this way, but that's what they did.
I'm very confused.
Yeah, as you should be. Purple Nakoruru thinks that Shiki is manipulating regular Nakoruru to get to Haomaru and says that she should just let Galford kill her. And then she points out that if Nakoruru wants to protect Shiki, then she has to fight Galford. And Galford just kind of stares at her like, yeah, I guess that's true.
I'll kill a woman if I have to.
I'll kill 2 women.
I don't give a fuck.
I'll kill the one up in the tree too. Who cares?
It's the same one as the one down here.
And this is where Shiki opens her eyes and they're glowing red. Apparently, Shiki's eyes are naturally blue, and the red represents Yuga's level of control over her.
Yeah, because lately she's been showing up with one red, one blue.
That's true, yeah. So I guess when both are red, that means that Yuga is fully in control.
That would be the implication, yes.
And that's the end.
Or is it?
And then the credits music plays. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I liked it.
I enjoyed it. And then we get a speech at the end from Nakoruru advertising part 2, saying that it's coming. She says it's coming summer 1999.
Oh no, we're gonna be late.
It's too late already.
What?
Yep. It was a long time ago.
I don't believe that for a second.
Well, you should.
I don't, but okay.
That's the end. It's over.
We defeated Yuga, and now we're here.
What did you think of this?
I have a lot of feelings because
Okay.
visually it was nice.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it, but it was extremely confusing for somebody who doesn't know anything about the series.
Yes, it was. I enjoyed it a lot, but I watched it constantly pausing it to research who the hell these characters are.
Yeah.
And I think my enjoyment would have been much lower if I hadn't done that, because I would have been twice as confused. And, I don't really want to have to do that to enjoy a media.
Yeah. That's why this suffers for me, because it's inscrutable without prior knowledge.
Yeah, but I think I'll give it a pass on that just because it was clearly meant as supplemental material for people who played these two games.
Right.
So I think if I had played both of these two games, I would have been way into this. Because I was pretty into it without having played them.
Yeah. The characters are fun.
Yeah, the characters are good. The animation is great. I recommend it.
Yeah, there's clearly a story at play. We just don't know it.
Yeah, I want to watch the second one. Having watched this, I want to know what happens.
I guess we'll have to watch.
Though I have a feeling it's just going to end on a cliffhanger that leads into the game, so.
What? Why would you say something like that?
That's just a feeling I have in my bones.
I think you're being ridiculous. I don't think they would do something like that to us.
Well, I guess we'll just have to agree to misagree.
Okay.
We'll just have to figure out how many it takes to play at this game.
2.
And I think it's 2.
I think it's a 2-player game.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. All right. I don't think there's any legacy. I don't think this show introduced anything new.
It just accidentally canonized Purple Nakoruru.
Yeah, and even if, I don't even know if she ever appeared again after this.
She doesn't count.
Let's see. Purple Nakoruru. What is up with you? Purple Nakoruru, alternatively known as Resetsu/Bust Nakoruru or EX Nakoruru, is an extra character added in Samurai Shodown 6. She is actually considered to be a different character from Nakoruru or rarer. This alternate version of Nakoruru is a callback to the second player color of her from the older games in the series. Her trademarks are her tanned skin, different colored hair and eyes, and a smirking visage. That's all the information about her on the Samurai Shodown wiki. That's it. That's all it says.
I guess that's all she is.
I guess so. Anyway. I do want to play some Samurai Shodown now after watching this. This effectively made me interested in the series.
Even though you don't really get a lot of story in fighting games.
Yeah, I would definitely pick Darkstalkers first, I think.
Yeah.
But
it's a solid choice.
But this might be my number 2. It's between this and Street Fighter. So far. But we'll see. We'll see what other fighting games doing this show introduces me to.
I cannot recall why I decided to play Samurai Shodown, but it was probably because of the big fun cast of characters.
Yeah. And the samurai.
And the showdown.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We don't have anything else to say, right?
No, you just gotta beg for money, do the dance.
If you feel like supporting our show, hop along down to patreon.com/superbreakfastfriendsclub, where you can do exactly that. with monetary contributions. We're panning for gold here. Would you like to put some nuggets in our pan?
That's how it works, right?
We accept nuggets, coins, doubloons, diamonds, and credit cards.
Also, chocolate doubloons.
Oh, chocolate balloons.
What?
Thanks, Jamie Core, for being our very best patron. And thanks to recording episodes at 2 a.m. for this rambling ending.
Listen, it's been a time for everyone, and that's why we're here, suffering together as one.
As father and son.
No.
Aladdin and the King of Thieves.
I'm none of those words, thank you very much.
Bye.
Did you say the coffee? I forget. I wasn't listening.
Coffee.com/Super Breakfast Friends Club.
Just in case.
Bye.
It's not late here like it is there, but
It's late for you.
Yeah. Daylight savings got me all higgledy-piggledy.
Piggledy.
You're a piggledy.
You're a piggledy. You're the higgledy-piggledy.
You're the higglediest of piggledies.
You're the higgle of Pigglytown.
How dare you? You know they wouldn't elect me.
I didn't know that it was democratic.
Yeah, it's a democratically elected position.
I had no idea. Maybe I should have campaigned.